District 24, Sabine, Vernon, and Beauregard parishes.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this last meeting. Representative Pat Moore, District 17, as a portion of Monroe, West Monroe, Town of Richwood, and some of the unincorporated areas of the police jury. Glad to be here.
Rep. Dickerson.
I am Kelly Hennessy Dickerson. I'm District 64, which is Livingston Parish and also East Baton Rouge. Good morning and welcome.
Rep. Bell.
Hi, yes, Representative Annie Spell from District 45 in Lafayette Parish. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jeff Wiley, representing District 81, Ascension, St. James, and Livingston Parish.
All right, who we have on the? Mark Abraham, Senator.
My name is Mark Abraham, a senator from Southwest Louisiana. I cover Calcasieu, Cameron, and Jeff Davis parishes.
We got Senator McMath. No, go ahead. Wyman.
Rep. Dixon McMakin, District 68, Baton Rouge. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative John Weibel, District 75, Washington Parish.
All right. Who else got? Rep. Landry.
Good morning. Representative Terry Landry Jr., District 67, right here, Baton Rouge.
All right. I also want to acknowledge all the public officials that are in the audience. We have Harold Brooks, Chief of Police of White Castle, Louisiana. David Toops, Mayor of Addis, Louisiana. Drew Morrell, Mayor Pro Tem, City of St. George. Charles Vincent, Councilman, it's a Councilman Charles Vincent. Pete Dufresne, is that the right pronunciation? Dufresne, I'm close. I messed up last year too. St. James Parish President. John Weibel, State Rep District 75. Roy Adams, State Rep District 62. Chris Daigle, Parish President of Iberville. And again, Dixon McMakin. All right, thank you all for being here and participating in this important meeting. As mentioned earlier, we're here to review the proposed highway construction projects for fiscal year 2026-2027 from the Department of Transportation and Development, as well as to allow the public the opportunity to provide their own testimonies as it relates to highway construction needs in the area. We will start with a presentation from DOTD Secretary Mr. Glenn Ledet. He will provide a general update on transportation progress within the department, and then we'll get to some district-specific initiatives here in District 61 and hit on the highway priority program proposed for next fiscal year. Secretary.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee, and everyone here in the public. Excited to be here today, really give you an update on the progress of transportation and the DOTD transformation really across our state. Obviously, touch on a lot of the activities we're going on across the department, and then go over our highway priority program. But just really excited to be here in DOTD District 62 in our last stop for the road show. So thank you for everyone who attended over the last 8 meetings. This has been really exciting to really go across the state and get to talk about the transformation that's underway, and then obviously hear from the public, get critical feedback from the public on everything that we've got going on, as well as this critical highway priority program. So with that, just want to touch on, we've got a slideshow here. Want to really just make sure that we know we've got a ton of progress happening across our state. I know that as we jump into this presentation, you'll hear a lot about our LTIF. We appreciate the leadership from the legislature and the trust that y'all had in the department to really deliver these LTIF projects to Louisiana Transportation Infrastructure Funds. That $500+ million that you gave the department over the last 2 years has been critical to our success. And so really improving project delivery and being efficient is what we're here to do, and being able to have this as a demonstration to showcase that we can deliver all of these projects both on time and under budget. And so I think what you've seen over the last year and a half is that we've been able to do that, and we continue to maintain that commitment that we will do that. And so that's been a significant improvement from what you've seen in the past. And so we really just, again, thank you for that, that trust in us, and I know you'll hear a lot about that today. As we jump into this, I just want to touch on a couple of things in this transformation. First and foremost is really project delivery and communication. The things that we are trying to do each and every day is make sure that we deliver what's in this highway priority program each and every day, each and every fiscal year. And so we're making that commitment in this transformation is to streamline project delivery. And so you'll hear a little bit about the things that we're doing to make sure we can do that, whether it's innovation or improvements in efficiencies across the department is what we're here to do. In addition to that, obviously communication, anything that we can do to make sure we are transparently communicating our program to both you and the public is why we're here. And so I think hopefully today marks that change in what you've seen historically, and we can make sure that we are delivering this highway priority program each and every fiscal year. And so a lot of great changes underway. Touch on a few of those led by the governor and y'all through this last legislative session. That is our new Office of Transformation. And so this gives us the ability each and every year to make sure that we are incorporating innovation and really leading the transformation across the department, and then have that ability to come back to y'all in the legislative session to showcase those successes. And so we've got that new office underway with champions across the department. We've got over 33 initiatives to make sure we're delivering on those promises. And so wanted to touch on that. In addition to that, we have our new Office of Louisiana Highway Construction. I see the new director, Archie Chasson, here, and so he's leading the non-federal aid program and collaborating on that critical bridge program that y'all invested in, and so doing a great job, and that collaboration has been fantastic since we've both taken office. And then finally, with that, we have the new Office of Project Delivery, and so as you know, streamlining project delivery is really the cornerstone of this transformation. So I'd like to welcome our new Assistant Secretary, Eric Dauphiné, up to really tell you a little about what we're doing and really lead into this presentation. So with that, if you don't mind, welcome Eric Dauphiné to come up here and touch on that. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Secretary. I want to start off by thanking everyone for attending. We're excited to see such a great turnout.
Eric, can you state your name for the record and your title?
Sorry. Eric Dauphiné, Assistant Secretary of Project Delivery for DOTD. I think I got it right on all the other ones. This is the first one.
All right. You're doing good.
But these public hearings are an instrumental part of our project prioritization and selection process. Feedback from legislators, from local officials, and the public are key parts of our project selection process, along with several other factors we consider, such as existing conditions, average daily traffic, safety concerns, maintenance costs, economic development, etc. We do utilize this feedback we receive throughout the year to deliver projects that are important to the people that we serve. While these are the official hearings, we do enjoy feedback throughout the year. So I do encourage everyone, all legislators, public, to reach out to our district administrators or myself throughout the year with any questions, concerns, or input that will help us prioritize needs. As Secretary mentioned, legislation last year created the Office of Transformation and the Office of Project Delivery. Both were aimed at enhancing efficiency, effectiveness, and accountability within DOTD. Since then, we have launched new initiatives to modernize our internal processes. With respect to project delivery, we are evaluating and streamlining our entire process, including project prioritization, an updated project delivery framework, task and responsibility-oriented project management, and a new project reporting system for transparency. And we've even contract administration and construction phase consistency. Essentially, our goal is to clearly define our project priorities, establish a 5-year living, fiscally constrained highway priority program, along with ideas on how to fund and resource those projects, and then to reform our project management and delivery process to provide for more accountability and consistency from project inception to construction. Another huge effort is with the communication of our highway priority program, more specifically, transparent communication. Communicating our priorities, the risk associated with project development, the challenges and the opportunities will foster more trust and collaboration amongst all stakeholders needed to deliver critical infrastructure. Aside from our internal process enhancements, another key component in the formula, and perhaps the most important component, is funding. DOTD has historically allocated all federal and state dollars in each fiscal year. In the past couple of years, additional dollars through the Louisiana Transportation Infrastructure Fund has helped advance the delivery of an additional 100 projects, totaling over $530 million in roadway preservation projects alone. There's 62 additional projects delivered on time in 2024, and another 37 projects on or ahead of schedule this year. In addition to the LTIF funding for capital projects, each district received $7.5 million last year and $7 million this year in operational maintenance funding. This funding was spent on several of our typical maintenance operations, but also in-house crews used some of this funding to purchase materials to help maintain and preserve our existing system, reducing the assets that we have into more deteriorated conditions, which ultimately helps stretch our capital budget. The continuation of these efforts will truly help deliver and advance essential infrastructure improvements and address a growing backlog of needs. So I want to thank you to the legislature for the trust and commitment, and thank you to the districts for designing, for constructing, and to our maintenance crews for taking on the challenge in delivering all of these additional projects. This combined effort amongst all of us is making a difference statewide. Well, with that, I would like to introduce the District Administrator for District 61, Mr. Josh Stutes. He'll discuss some projects and accomplishments for District 61 in more detail.
Thank you, Eric. Mr. Secretary. Good morning, everyone. My name is Joshua Stutes. I'm the DOTD District 61 Engineer Administrator. It's great to be here. I wanted to kind of echo the Secretary's comments earlier about funding for LTIF. Kind of continuing that momentum from last fiscal year, we had LTIF to help advance projects that would have been waiting for funding in several parishes, Assumption Parish, as well as Ascension Parish. But the LTIF maintenance funding is has been utterly successful. It's very powerful. We're able to put projects on the ground virtually immediately to provide that instant benefit, so to speak. We're able to buy materials. Some examples of some projects we've been utilizing coming from last fiscal year into this fiscal year have been some district-wide striping projects for mainline striping that we just can't get to in an efficient manner. Intersections district-wide over all of our 9 parishes. We've had some pipe replacement projects, some really large pipes and others smaller, some lines of pipes, pipe and ditch cleaning projects, for example, district-wide. Well, our maintenance folks can do that. Some we just can't get to fast enough, right? And this provides an immediate benefit for the public. Other uses, we've used it to purchase new detections, radar for intersections. Some of you might have seen it at Highland Road, for example, at I-10. A lot of folks going through that interchange, right? And this provides a better, more efficient way of detecting the vehicles. Just like it sounds, it's more efficient than cameras. A little bit more expensive, but it's really effective, and we can install that in-house once we purchase the materials. So. But I wanted to just personally thank you, as me as the district administrator. Everyone from DOTD would echo those comments that it's something that we can provide very efficient benefit with that funding, and we're able to put it on several routes in all of our parishes. It's not just isolated. So I wanted to personally thank you for that. I did want to acknowledge my staff. I know they didn't sit in the front of the classroom today, but I wanted to introduce my assistant district administrator for operations. That's Mr. John Jody Fontenot. Ms. Cody Plaisance is our assistant district administrator of engineering. And then our area engineers, you got Mr. Desmond Sam. He's over Area A, which is East Baton Rouge Parish. Area B is Mr. Jeff Shadalam, which is West Baton Rouge, Point Capee, East and West Feliciana parishes. And lastly, Mr. Aaron Elisar is Area C. That's going to be your southern part of the district. That's Ascension Parish, Assumption, Iberville, and St. James parishes. So a lot of the success of the district goes to those leaders back there. Their folks are the boots on the ground. They do a lot of great things, and I take very little credit to any of that. It really goes to those folks back there. So I'm very grateful to have them on my team.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
You wanna go?
And this is a question that's for anybody up on there. Driving in today, this morning, the construction right before by the lakes, when will that be completed?
Yes, Chairman. That's a great question. You know, that is obviously the large I-10 widening project right now. We're in the midst of the City Park Bridge replacement as well as widening. And so that's an effort that is obviously going to extend longer into 2030 and 2031 for both the replacement as well as the widening through Perkins Road and eventually to Acadian and beyond. And so you've got multiple phases. This is that first segment.
Okay, and that's federal dollars?
No, that is a variety of dollars, including Garvey bonds. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. Senator Abraham?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a little housekeeping. It's kind of minor, Joshua.
Yes.
Senator Foyle and I have talked about this, and the intersection of Brentwood and Jefferson, I believe, right? That's not state highway. It belongs to the parish or the city.
That's the intersection near Essen Lane. Is that right?
Yeah, is that Essen? Okay. Baton Rouge Country Club is on Jefferson, right?
Yeah, we transferred Jefferson to the city parish.
Okay, because I've talked to, I think, Laurie over there as city councilman, and that's really a very, very bad intersection. When you come out of Brentwood, okay, you cannot see left. Cars are coming. And is there anything that y'all can do to help the parish or is it city parish, I guess? Anything y'all can do to help on that? I've talked to them, but I said I suggested putting a curved mirror on the pole there, but they say no, that causes problems too. So is there any solution to that? Somebody's going to get killed at that corner.
There are solutions. Miss Laurie had emailed me. There is something you may be able to put. This is going to be up to the city parish to approve such a thing. But you do have a little bit of room in that continuous turn lane right there. You got a lot of geometry to work with. What I would have suggested, since it's just that leg trying to get onto Essen Lane, you could put a raised concrete shape to where it allows lefts out and lefts in to Brentwood. You might be able to, in other words, you might have a protected area to get onto Essen Lane in that continuous turn lane.
When you turn in right off of Brentwood, you talking about when you
if turning right, you're not going to have an issue, right? You're just going to get on. You just look left and you go.
Yeah.
But if you want to make a left onto Essen Lane, you would take a left and you have this concrete. In other words, it's going to prevent somebody going into you. We have that right in front of the district office on Airline Highway, for example. For the most part, it's worked. There's a lot of folks that take that area.
So since it belongs to them, you really don't have any say-so? Do you communicate on issues like that where y'all have given a property over? It's kind of out of your purview?
No, not specifically. No, really, it's going to be their decision, their jurisdiction. We can certainly make those recommendations, though.
Okay, all right, just wanted to bring it up just for a little housekeeping there. Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Senator. I just want to acknowledge also Rep. Tony Bacala is also here. Rep. Landry?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, thank you, and both of you and Josh. We had a town hall, myself and Senator Seldes earlier this year, so thank y'all for coming out. I know one of the questions that was asked during that time was about the Washington Street exit and its closing. Is that still going on, and do you have a time frame on when that will happen?
Yes, thank you, Representative Landry. I know certainly that is a project that was let. It's actually under construction. That would be underway now. There's a delay on the contractor side in getting the signage necessary to complete the project in, and so that will be in January, and they will start that closure and the remaining striping. I know Representative Dixon McMakin was going to ask a similar question. So everything is ready to go, and the contractor's ready to mobilize. As soon as those signs come in, they will have those installed, and then the closure of that exit ramp will be part of that overall widening program.
Do you know how long that process takes?
The total construction, I can get you that exact number. I don't have it off the top of my head, but a couple of months. Yep, thank you. And Chairman, if you don't mind, I can finish the presentation? Yeah, okay, thank you. So appreciate District Administrator Stutes kind of going over this, the notes there. As you saw, we've got a significant investment thanks to those LTIF funds, so really appreciate that again. Wanted to close the district presentation out with a couple of notes on some recent projects that were completed. The first of those is that College Drive flyover, and as you know, this is another component of really the capacity improvements in the greater Baton Rouge area. That project was substantially completed this summer, and so those significant improvements obviously are in place, and excited to see that improvement here in Baton Rouge. We've got some additional things that we're helping to continue to improve that process on the exit ramp side, but again, that was a great project, over $70 million in that design build effort, and so excited to see that complete now. In addition to that, I think District Administrator Stutes, you want to give an update on the LA1 Intercoastal Bridge?
Sure. So this is in West Baton Rouge. So this is a two-phase project that's going to be replacing the northbound and southbound structures. Phase 1 replaced the southbound structure, and it's complete and in place as you see there. The Phase 2 is currently underway with J.B. James as the contractor, of which they're building the northbound structure, and they're going to demolish the other structures, complete the rehab of the service roads, as well as construct a new I-10 exit ramp. I believe the completion is sometime in 2027, but a very important structure to be built. As one of our older structures, to say the least. I think the original was built in the 50s. So we have a structure that's higher of elevation to support the maritime industry there. And building it under traffic is very, very challenging, but we're working through a lot of that and maintaining industry as well as commuters. So it's going very, very well.
What's the cost of that project?
They bid this over, so this is a normal design bid build process. It goes out for bid. Don't have the numbers offhand. I want to say in the neighborhood of $150 million for both structures.
Yeah, that's correct.
300?
No, I don't think it's
in total. The
total.
both phases were $150 million. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yep. Thank you. Well, yeah, and so with that really concludes the district section of this presentation. We wanted to go over a couple of these large projects that have obviously College Drive flyover concluded, and so thank Josh Stutes and his team. They do a fantastic job here in District 61, and obviously we've got a lot going on. We'll cover a little bit of that in this presentation, but just thank you, Josh, for your efforts there. And so, Chairman, with that, I'll jump into the Highway Priority Program, if you don't mind. Yep. And so with that, we always want to touch on what's going on in the district in each one of these presentations, but the main reason that we're here today is to really go over the fiscal year 26-27 Highway Priority Program presentation. Want to give you really an overview of what this is about in each and every district, really touch on the selection process, and then finish with the investment that we have in the state. Also want to say a few thank yous now that we're concluding on the efforts internally at the department, now that this is our last roadshow. But with that, I'll jump right in and give you that overview. And so, as you all probably know, each and every year we get together and make sure that we review a prioritized plan for transportation improvements in our state, and so that's the reason we're all here. Obviously, this guides our decisions on both pavement, bridge projects, new interchanges throughout the state. Really, what are we investing in to be constructed each and every year? And then at the end of this, we want to make sure that all taxpayer dollars are invested effectively in projects that deliver the greatest public benefit for this particular fiscal year. So obviously very important, and we take this very seriously, and excited to be here and kind of go over the draft with you today. Each and every year, we start with the goals and objectives of our department and of the Highway Priority Program. And so want to review those with you before we jump into that investment. And so First and second you see there is making sure that we are preserving and operating the system appropriately. We want to bring the system into a good state of repair, optimize usage of it, and really make sure that we've got an efficient existing transportation system and really support a resilient system across our state, always taking into account any evacuation routes, in particular in Louisiana with hurricanes, to necessitate the evacuation in catastrophic events. And then, of course, with this transformation, make sure that we encourage innovation in the use of technology. So that's really part of that preservation and operation. But critical and probably as important to that is improving the safety of the system. And so making sure that we can improve safety for all motorized and non-motorized users, reducing crashes and fatalities, and getting to that net zero fatality across our state. And so that is critical to what we're doing. And of course, obviously, the growth of our economy in our state is important. So expanding the system is a critical goal and objective, making sure that we are increasing accessibility for people, goods, and services across our state, and fostering a diverse economic development in Louisiana. And so what does that all feed into? It's really doing what we can to improve the quality of life for all of our citizens, that we're fostering that multimodal commerce to promote really a great quality of life for Louisiana. And so as you see, these are our 5 goals and objectives that are critical. And so with that, we're able to break these projects up into 5 types that align with those goals and objectives, and they also align with a lot of our federal funding buckets to make sure that we're taking full advantage of those. And so you see those as we jump into investment that'll tie to this. And so the first of those, I just want to touch on the types, is preservation. And that's the work that the type of projects are pavement overlays, patching, and bridge maintenance, anything that we need to do to bring the system into a good state of repair. Second is capacity. And so that's anything that we need to do to make sure that we are adding lanes or new roadway connections. Obviously, this is roadway widening, new interchanges, or other improvements to expand the system and relieve traffic congestion. We have an operations and motor services bucket or type of project, and so those types of activities are traffic signal upgrades, lighting improvements, drainage repairs, and ITS, intelligent transportation system enhancements. And then I mentioned safety. So obviously anything that we need to do in terms of intersection improvements, guardrail upgrades, pedestrian upgrades, as well as the installation of roundabouts to make intersections safer. And then finally, we have a miscellaneous project type because we've got a number of things that fall into this category. Smaller repair efforts. We have our road transfer program we already touched on, and other specialized work you'll see when we go over that investment. And then finally, as we in this overview is the phase of the project. How is it organized by phase? And so you see there on the left-hand side, kind of the critical phase is projects that are scheduled for letting, what's going to construction in this fiscal year. And so you see, obviously, that's when we're letting the project, advertising it, and then awarding a construction contract. So that is a critical phase of the project that we cover each and every year in this Highway Priority Program. We've obviously got projects that are in development that are working towards getting ready for construction in future fiscal years. And so that's anything in the planning, engineering, design, and environmental stages, getting that project ready to go to construction in future years. And then obviously we have complex projects. We've already shown you a couple that require funding from a variety of sources. And so you've got projects that are awaiting funding that we're trying to pair state dollars up with federal dollars or federal grants. And so you'll see that designation in there. It's typically in some sort of phase of development where we are trying to get all of the fundings compiled to get the project ready for letting. And so with that, that really touches on an overview of the different types, goals and objectives, and phase of projects. And so before we jump into the FY 26-27 investment, I'd like to just go over an overview of the selection process and just touch on that. And so each and every year, again, just hitting on the goals and objectives, we always start with those. Those are actually spelled out in great detail in RS 48229.1. And so you've got that list of 8 items there that align with those 5 goals and objectives. You can see how they align and what category they're in. And so always starting with that is what our team does on making sure that we understand what those goals and objectives are and how we're going to get there. And And so with that, that allows us to start the project identification process. So every year, we're making sure we're identifying the best projects for our program. And so obviously, we're looking at our data. We've got a lot of data, roadway conditions, operational data, safety data, crash records, as well as congestion, and then seeking stakeholder input year-round to make sure we're touching the public, state and local officials, as well as MPOs, rural organizations, our federal agency partners, FHWA and others, to understand what their needs are and look at the data to make sure that all of the projects have been identified each and every year. And so from there, we're trying to prioritize and select projects that can be put into this plan or future plans. And so working with this stakeholder input and the technical analysis we need to do, talking to the districts, understanding really anything and everything that we can put on the table, looking at our long-range plan over a 10-year horizon to see, what is the region going to look like and how can we accommodate that? And then finally, funding. What is funding going to look like and how can we meet all of these needs across our state? And so with that, we're able to consider a lot of different factors in this process we've touched on. And so you can see there whether it's the roadway condition factors, the immediate urgencies or emergencies that we'll face next year, that things have to be repaired, type and volume of traffic, population growth and economic development occurring in each region, of course, crash records and safety data, and then looking at the challenges that we face. Obviously, there are technical difficulties and right-of-way needs in every project, as well as evacuation routes for emergency events. And so all of this is considered in both the project identification and selection and prioritization process. And so what does that all really boil down to? And so you can see it here on the screen, and that is that process really from the session of each year, the conclusion of that, where we're recommending and identifying new projects. We're putting them into a proposed draft plan. We deliver that draft plan to the Joint Transportation Committee every year on October 1st. That allows us to come to these public hearings throughout the remainder of this year, each and every year, to have public hearings throughout every DOTD district throughout the state. We get critical feedback from both y'all as well as the public on these needs, plus any additional needs that we need to accommodate, and then we propose a draft final plan that gets presented to both the House and Senate Transportation Committees in the session of each year. So obviously next year we will look at this FY 26-27 draft final plan. And so this is that overview of this process, as well as that identification prioritization. Always like to go over this and make sure that we're communicating that process every year now as we weigh these decisions and understand future needs. And so with that, if we don't have any questions, I can jump into the investment for this year, Chairman. And so as you see on the screen and in our booklet here today, we've got a $1.2 billion investment for transportation infrastructure across our state in FY 26-27. So really a big investment. You see of that $913 million is allocated for construction this year, which is what will be let for construction. You've got roughly 302 projects across the state that will be let for construction. So a significant, almost $1 billion investment in projects that we put on the ground just in our highway priority program. And of course, this does not include any non-recurring cash contributions that we get in session. So LTIF dollars would be on top of this. And so, last year, obviously, we exceeded this with the monies that were provided for those capital projects. So a huge investment in addition to any future monies that we get. Obviously, we're always working to move projects into construction next year. So you'll see part of this investment is $220 million for pre-construction activities, engineering and design dollars that would go to getting projects ready for next year. And then you've got $70 million in there that's available for contingencies, as well as engineering and inspection work that needs to go on to make sure that these projects are delivered accordingly. And so with that $1.2 billion investment, you can see how it's broken up. Obviously, we're trying to fit dollars into some of the federal buckets to make sure that we really leverage everything that we can. And so you could see that large preservation amount there, $553 million, making sure that we've got a reliable system for each and every citizen is one of the largest investments that we have. We've got obviously $100 million in operations. We've got $74 million in safety, and then another $185 in miscellaneous that has a number of items items you'll see listed in the sub-partition. So a really great investment this year, and we're making sure, as Assistant Secretary Dauphiné said, that we are focusing this highway priority program each and every year to make sure that we can deliver this commitment to the state. And so understanding which projects can be funded with available funding, and then working as hard as we can to fund any additional needs either this year through non-recurring cash contributions, capital outlay, or looking for future years to make sure we can deliver those. But making sure that we're streamlining this process so we can deliver this investment each and every year. With that, I just want to touch on these sub-partitions, and so you can see in each of these different funding buckets and project types what that breakdown looks like. And so in preservation, obviously we have a large piece of this that goes to both interstate and non-interstate preservation, making sure that we're either doing mill and overlay type efforts across the state in all these different types of highways. We also have roadway preventative maintenance work that will go on. And then finally, you've got the bridge preservation work that needs to take place on both on-system and off-system bridges. And obviously, we've got a large system of bridges in the state, over 13,000 bridges. And so you could see there almost $300 million is being invested into that on top of the investment they all provided through LTIF last year. So a huge investment in our bridge system this year. When we look at the operations and motorist services category, it's got a number of different efforts we had touched on earlier, and so both ITS, intelligent traffic systems, as well as traffic control devices is there. We have our roadway flooding program, resiliency program with the FHWA. We've got waste stations, interstate lighting, and rest areas, and anything from access management to ferries. The actual movable bridge preventative maintenance program is actually in this category, and then our ADA program is here as well to make up that $101 million investment. Safety is obviously big, and so we often pair this program up with things that are in our preservation because they can often do both. And so you'll see, some of our highway safety program dollars are tied to that, and you've got those safety projects that are being done across the state. We also have our railroad crossing upgrade program that's part of this category as well. And so over $73 million invested here. And then finally, our miscellaneous bucket. We've got a number of efforts here. Obviously, safety is important. You can see the safe routes to schools and to public places is actually part of this category. Urban systems, our TAP program. We've got actually our roadway transfer program. The credits that we provide to local entities is part of this. So a number of things that are all in this miscellaneous category. And so that makes up that $1.2 billion investment when you round this out with this miscellaneous category. And so finally, within each and every presentation and district, what does that mean for District 61 in this region? You've got 45 projects across this district that are all set to go or be let for construction this fiscal year. And so that's all provided in the booklet that we hand out when you walk in addition to this map that showcases all of those projects in the different color codes. You can see geographically that are either set to be let, have been let, or are being developed in and across District 61. So we're making sure that within this transformation, we're doing continuously improving to make sure that we are delivering the communication and transparent message to the public and to the legislature on what's in this highway priority program. And of course, getting feedback from you and from the public today and from our stakeholders in the parishes and the parish presidents that we're working with them, that if it's not in this program today, it can be funded in future years because we know that we have a lot of needs out there. And so really excited to showcase this to you today, and really across our state has been great. Just before I wrap up, just want to touch on, before we conclude, a significant appreciation and thank you to the legislature and your leadership over this last year, and all of our stakeholders that have come to all of our meetings. We've gotten really good feedback, and obviously there's a lot of improvement that we can always make, and so encouraged to hear that. That gives us the ability to work with them and have opportunities in the future, so that's been great. And as I conclude, I just want to say a little thank you to our staff who's worked really hard to put this program on and make make sure that we're delivering each and every day through our transformation. So if you don't mind, I'd like to go through that before we conclude. And so we've got some of those folks that are here today. Other folks couldn't make it, but we've got dedicated members of our executive team that have done really well to make sure that we're aligned on this transformation and working really hard to really deliver for the state. And so we've got our new Deputy Secretary, Julie Fishy-Cormier, who couldn't be here today, working really hard on the Office of Transformation. We have our new Assistant Secretary of Project Delivery, Eric Dauphiné, you've heard from today. We have our Chief of Staff, Peggy Jo Payne, who's here today, working really hard. We've got our Undersecretary and CFO, Barbara Aguilard. We have our Chief Engineer, Chad Winchester, our Assistant Secretary of Todd Donmeyer, our new Commissioner of Multimodal Commerce, Andrew Kilshaw. We have our Planning Division Lead, Connie Betts, our Communication Director, Rodney Mallett, our Lead for Policy and Government Affairs, Jacques Berry, our Legislative Liaison, Greg Cromer. I know you work with Jacques and Greg very often. We have our new Executive Counsel, Jezreel Joseph, who couldn't be here today, and our new Federal Policy Lead, Neil McMillan, who's here today as well. We have other members of planning who work really hard on this highway priority program each and every year and really worked hard to kind of transform this as we try to communicate this better. I'd like to mention those. We have Tilly Sipp, our program specialist, Dawn Schallmeyer, our transportation planning administrator, Melly Elliott Bajeron, highway program engineer. We have Eber Beadle, our assistant highway program engineer. Dilton Anderson, our assistant scoping engineer, Sean Root, our business technology supervisor, and Dean Harrison, our business technology specialist. So this team's worked really hard and just want to appreciate them and thank them for their hard work. But again, thank you for everything throughout this roadshow, and we look forward to working with you throughout the session next year and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. How many employees does the DOTD employ? And what's the budget for salaries and benefits?
We have over roughly 4,100 employees. Obviously, that varies from day to day. I can get you the exact number that we have today, but it's roughly that. I don't have the budget off the top of my head. I don't know if Barbara's here today, but we can get you that exact budget on salaries and benefits.
Right. Is it from that? Does it come out of that 1.2 billion?
It comes out of our Transportation Trust Fund. Yes, sir.
Okay. And can you give us an update on the Baton Rouge Bridge? I know there was some news about the different approaches. Where we stand with that?
Yes, so Baton Rouge, Mississippi River Bridge South is the effort. We've been doing a lot of work to get to the kickoff for our environmental assessment, that NEPA process, and so we were able to work with FHWA, kick that off in Q3 of this year, and so we have our first community briefings tonight in St. Gabriel and tomorrow night in Plaquemines to help provide info on this process to the public, and so this will kick off a 12-month study to do an environmental assessment on both the alignment as well as the bridge and the crossing. We've got really a lot of work that went into looking at 32 alternatives for the bridge, narrowing down that to 3 alternatives that are being evaluated as part of this environmental assessment.
Okay, where are you on the funding?
So we have some funding dedicated to the project, a little bit less than $400 million. Obviously looking for ways to compile as much funding as we can, talking to the federal government, looking at ways to provide alternative toll revenue. And then we have a CARB D district that also looks at that as well.
Okay, any questions? The board is clear? Oh,
Yes.
We got a question? Rep. Wiley.
Mr. Chair.
Yep.
Thank you, sir,
Yes, sir.
and staff for being here and the general public. I'm curious about this is the last one, right? The last
Yes, sir.
roadshow, and I wanted to ask a question that it occurred in a project in one of my parishes, right? And actually, it's one near and dear to me because it's right by my house, and it is a roundabout that long needed, right? So when the contractors begin these projects, there is a sigh of relief by the general public and finally, yes? And so you start seeing progress, and of course it's intrusive, no doubt, with the public, but that's necessary, right? So then along the way, and particularly in this instance that I cite, but I'm understanding as I grow into this role that this committee responsibility, that this happens I don't want to say a lot, but it happens frequently, okay? Which is, project is going on, all right? And in this project particularly, in the last 5 or 6 months, I think most people would agree the weather has cooperated with projects being the dry season, extended, right? So this happens, and then all of a sudden, this contractor crew disappears. I'm not talking about days, I'm talking about weeks. And so finally, my contacts who are wonderful, Josh and Aaron and the crews, this is absolutely no reflection on your staff or on the department. But what we're told, and I have no doubt accurately, is there comes the utilities problems and the relocations of these utilities. And may be remiss, correct me, what the guy said, correct me if I'm right, okay, is that we are the contractor, and then the public who is maneuvering around these projects that are midway underway are waiting on our dear friends in the utility business to relocate these, and they have their priorities, giving them, quite frankly, fair room to maneuver, but I'm not sure they share the same sense of urgency that this new vision that DOT has, and I think if it would be accurate to say, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that is a significant part of what the heck happened. And so I asked my contacts, and they basically said, look, we got a relocation here, et cetera, and it gave rise to conversation about, well, how do we, with the new world, all right, which is let's try to do things outside of that box that we've been in for decades. And I'm just wondering if there's ways to capture that beforehand or anticipate beforehand. Am I making any sense at all? Is that as significant an issue as this feeble little mind of mine thinks it is?
No, it's a significant issue. Obviously, the utility relocations can be lengthy in time and can cause delays. And so that's certainly something that we do understand. And I think it's one of the things we're trying to take into account. We're making sure that both clearing and grubbing and utility relocations happen early so that we can get those done and out of the way. But anything that the legislature can do to help advance those efforts, because I know even the project we talked about yesterday, 3241 I-12 to Bush, that was potentially delayed because of utility relocation. We were able to mitigate that. And so we're constantly doing that across the state on all of our projects, but it is a challenge, and we're working hard to make sure we address that. Obviously, there's going to be challenges where that are unforeseen, but we're doing everything we can. But anything that we can do across the state to make sure that the utilities are relocated in a timely manner can help our transformation, our project delivery process.
Well, just so you know, and it's just, and I'll close with the chairman and thank you. This particular instance, and it's one I'm most familiar with, obviously, acutely, because I travel it daily, multiple times on occasion, is we are on fire with this project, this roundabout in an overcapacity road, desperately needed, and it's on, it's going. And all of a sudden, where are they? All right. Days and weeks, okay? And this contractor, who has other jobs, realized that there's a relocation problem, and I'm not sure he's terribly concerned about it because he takes his work crew to catch up on another project. I mean, there's a kind of a domino effect here, right? Yeah. And if there is a way that that our body, I mean, like when we're in session, let's all agree that there's a lot of lobbyists here, and some of them represent our necessary utilities people, and they're credible people. But they don't mind asking favors and expressing their concerns about their needs, and we welcome that input. I'm thinking maybe there's a quid pro quo on this, that maybe we can do some kind of way that we can kind of convey to them the necessary could you make this a priority, like you're asking us to make some of your concerns a priority?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yeah, that's great. That would be great. Thank you.
Mr. Secretary, if there's some, what is it? Your name,
Dauphiné.
Yes.
Derek Dauphiné.
Yes, sir. All right. And I know you've been on the firing line as a parish official, et cetera. Your thoughts And if you have a blueprint that this committee and the body as a whole this spring could do, I'm not talking about war, I'm talking about let's see how we can do this and not in the midstream of a project, shut it down for a month.
Yes, sir. So I'll add two things from a project delivery standpoint. One is delivering projects in the past. We have been kind of close to delivering a project when the letting date is up close. We're kind of stretching it now, and we've changed to where we would deliver in projects 3 months in advance, and we're shifting now to 6 months in advance, and we'll look at that. Having that additional time, it gives us a little bit, I guess, more adjustments we can, if you per se, on the front side, if we do have some utility conflicts. So that's one thing that we're doing. It's kind of putting some distance in between the project delivery date and that letting date, right? And then also on the, I guess we could call it the planning side, or even before that, the project development side, recent legislation, we're looking at opportunities we have with just the marking of utilities and things that are not getting done, and the challenges that are coming up with that. So if we're not getting things marked accurately, perhaps we get to a job and it's under construction and we find something that wasn't marked, that's something that was missed, and it creates a challenge, during the process. So working through that to see what opportunities we have on that front, to make sure we're getting the best planning we can and the best marking and the best engineering and design that we can on the front side.
I don't. In closing, I don't think any of my colleagues here or in the main body would mind being solicited by your staff with, if you could help us on a nudge on this part of this process, because we're dead in the water until this gets done. I think we would all be more than willing to do that discreetly, politely, and hopefully effectively. Yes.
Understood.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Rep. Adams?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being here, Mr. Secretary. A couple of questions. Off-road bridges. I live up in East Feliciana. Y'all come in, we come in and inspect them. We close the bridge. My parish is saying, who pays for them? I mean, I saw we had 90-something million in off-road bridges systems. We don't rebuild the bridges, do we? I mean, tell me how that works.
It's our all-system bridge program. It's all bridges in the state are federally funded, right? So we have federal dollars, and Ms. Connie may be able to help me if I misspeak, but with those federal dollars, the local entities have match. And they're responsible for the development. And a lot of times they're responsible for some of the pre-construction costs, whether it's utility relocation, right-of-way purchase, things like that. So local entities have a lot of stake in the game and do have some cost associated with that. But there is federal dollars and match through our program, through the all-system bridge program.
Okay. I have one that's on East Louisiana State Mental Hospital grounds. They came in and closed it. Who's responsible for that? That's state land, state road, and it's been closed now for 2 years. We saying evacuations, we need that, and that was part of their evacuation, but now they've lost access to it. Is it us, or is it the hospital's budget, or?
I'm not sure which bridge you're talking about. I'd have to.
Yeah, it's on 951 in East Feliciana Parish.
Yeah, we will. Representative Adams.
Jackson, Louisiana.
We'll look at it. Again, a lot of times, Josh, you want to give background, but a lot of times we can try to find federal dollars. We do need that state match, that local match. But yeah.
That one's a little bit challenging. So it is a state-owned structure. It's inside the grounds of the facility, right?
Yes.
It's not public access.
No.
So it falls into that category where it's private access only, and there's a reason for that. So it gets into a weird scenario where it may not be covered by the off-system bridge program. But yeah, we've been discussing that recently. But it is a state-owned structure, even though it's not a DOTD-owned structure. It's an agency-owned structure. But we would certainly be open to any opportunities. Okay. I think we were talking about maybe even considering box culverts to replace that structure.
That's what
That's what I would recommend.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. Up in Norwood, we closed it. It's on Thompson Creek Road. I have loggers that hadn't been able to log for 3 years because they can't come across the bridge. what can we do for them? I mean, landowners, because after a certain time, the trees are too big. They can't sell them to the mill. I mean, it's just running me wild.
Yeah, I think, again, I think we would probably set up a meeting at the same time we talk about this state-owned property to try to find the funding for it. And so understanding how we can get those funds and then try to prioritize it.
Okay,
Yep.
and the grass cutting, my towns, we increased the number of payments they get? Did we increase the money they get, or just went from 3 payments to 4 payments?
You know what town it is?
I'm pretty sure it was just the cycles. I don't think the monetary amount changed.
Because they were saying that's, of course, it's not enough to cover it, blah, blah, blah. All right, flooding, is it any way we can get people, works with DOT in East Feliciana, East Baton Rouge, to ride the roads when it rains? I mean, if they take a grader bucket and they could see where the water's standing, but the dirt's higher than the road, and it can't drain off, and you hit it at night, and you don't, it's just ride during the day, and you could see it. And one more, logs up in East Feliciana, they burn right by DCI. Within a mile of that, I've had logs laying on the side of the road that's been there. I've called, and they said, well, I don't know. We hadn't got them cleaned up. Is there any way we can get the roads? I mean, they come in every day. They got a pile there now. They picked up on 955 and brought them there to burn. But and this is on Highway 68, right where they burn, just a mile south of where they burn.
Yes, sir. We will look in. DA Stutz and I will talk with Eric and get that.
And one more for it,
Yes,
and then I'm going to quit. In Zachary, they have building a fire station. They have DOT's got them held up, and I don't know who it is, Cedric. They said with DOT won't come back and give them, they can't move forward. The money's there, everything's there. They say, they being Zachary.
Yeah, so thankfully for that one, we got it back on the proverbial train tracks. That one's about to be issued.
Okay.
It's going through the review. There was an issue with contacting the consultant. I think he had some health issues.
Yes.
So I believe where it last got left as of yesterday was it was being sent back to the applicant for signature. And once that's sent back to us, we can sign and issue the permit.
All right, that's it. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for what you do.
Representative. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Adams. Rep. McMakin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh, where are you going? Thank you, Rep. Landry, for asking about Washington Street. Just wanted to say on the record, it was supposed to be closed last week. Y'all have ruined everyone's Christmas for delaying that for a month. One of the projects you didn't mention, update, can we get Piku Lane update, please?
Yeah, we're going to take it.
The peak.
Oh, no, you turned it off. Yeah.
Don't touch it.
Yeah.
Don't touch it.
Yeah.
Let him do it. There you go.
Sorry about that. Joshua Stutz, District 61 Engineer Administrator. The Piku Lane interchange for I-10, it's going very well. As I understand it, I believe we're trying to open up the interchange itself within the next couple months. That doesn't mean the project's going to be complete, but it may be functional maybe as early as February is what I'm hearing.
We're trying to do a ribbon cutting as well next spring, so getting close to the end.
Senator Rick Edmonds, he's been working on that a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Josh, we've had some communication, Jamestown right there in Piku, just while you're here. Is that y'all's road? Is it the city road? Is it St. George's Road?
It's not DOTD's road.
We'll let them figure it out. So just on the record for that one. And then last year, I know it's very minimal part of District 61, but I passed a resolution. You know, I love passing resolutions for you guys, and thank you for that. The Drive Act for I-12. Y'all love making people merge. Merging is causing so much traffic for us. It's unbelievable. So please, let's look into that. We have plenty of space on the left side to move the cars over, to get them in and out of East Baton Rouge Parish, out of my district, and move them along. So let's look into that a little more if we can. Even driving to New Orleans, you know, why are we still having 3 merges there from Power to the airport to all that? You fixed all that, not your district, but just something else. We merge way too much. I don't know why your team loves to merge, but even with Piku, we're finishing Piku. Piku's going to come westbound. It's going to merge. Then it's going to have to get off at Segan. getting off from Essen to College. You have to merge, then you have to get over to College. We've talked about that one as well. So please, to all of your staff here, let's look into why do y'all love merging so much when there's so much space out there to make it more effective, more efficient, so we don't have to merge as much. Thank you for all the work you're doing. Thank you for putting up with me. Thank you, Jacques, as well. Thank you to our great multimodal commissioner for his career of service and transportation. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Representative.
Thank you, Rep. Anything else?
That's it.
I don't see any more questions, so we're going to move into the public comment portion.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee. Appreciate it.
All right. If anyone wants to speak, please fill out a statement card and give it to the staff. I'm going to call up Charles Vincent, City Hall Baker, Roth Phillips, Ascension Parish Government, and Pete Dufresne, St. James Parish President. Gentlemen, please state your name also when you address. All right, ladies first.
Sure. Good morning,
Is it Ruth?
Chairman and Commissioners. Yeah, Ruth.
Yeah, Roth, all right.
Ruth Phillips, Ascension Parish Government. I'm the Infrastructure Division Director. And want to start off with letting you all know that we have been regularly seeing expedited resolutions from DOTD since we have had the new secretary in place. They are extremely communicative. They respond very timely. So we are very, very appreciative.
So you
of the
see a
changes.
change in with the new administration and the new governor?
Yes.
Okay.
We're very happy about that. Also, I have to go, Aaron Elsar is top-notch for us at our local district, so I have to give him the appreciation. Joshua is great as well, but Aaron's our go-to problem solver, and he's always expediting things for us. And so I want to get on with the priorities for Ascension Parish. Obviously, we've had a little bit of an economic boom, thanks to Governor Landry. The dominoes fell very quickly, all together at once. So projects that were someday projects are now today's projects on very, very firm deadlines. And so our commitment is to do the Energy Transition Parkway in collaboration with DOTD. We are also going to be letting the 3127 extension. That'll be coming out in January. And we are working with our neighboring government entities to get Highway 30 back on track. These three projects help with our economic boom that's going on, but it's not just for Ascension Parish. This is for the state of Louisiana and then some. The amount of workers that we're going to need to come in and build these and all the support businesses, this is a win for everybody. So those are some of our top priorities. A couple concerns that we have, just looking at what we're funding for this coming fiscal year. Pavement striping and mill patch overlay is great, but it doesn't get you anywhere faster. It just, you get to sit on something pretty while you're stuck in traffic. We really want to see capacity, new roads, new interchanges, more roundabouts. Ascension Parish is going to be the home of, like, the king of roundabouts, I think, by the time we get done with all our construction projects. We love us a roundabout. We're also seeing great progress with the roadside ditches being maintained by the state, and also culvert upgrades, which in the past was not something that we had seen done when they were digging ditches. We're looking for, whenever possible, to use concrete box culverts for bridge replacements. They're much easier to maintain, and they have a much longer longevity. And we have companies, local companies in Louisiana, that are building them up to 14 feet box culverts, which are quite impressive for us. We do want to commend DOTD for the continued funding for the statewide flood control program. We get a lot of projects out of that. We're very grateful for that program. And with that, we just want to thank our Chamber of Commerce for being here today, writing a letter of support, and all our elected officials for continuing supporting Ascension Parish.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Mr. Vincent?
Thank you so much. And let me indicate that once I make my comments, I might have to exit because of another engagement. But let me thank Josh. He has just been, Josh Stoops, he has just been fantastic. He's worked with us in Baker so very well, and he's on speed dial. And I also would like to thank our Representative Adams. He does well for us in Baker. Thank you so much. And Representative Terry Landry, who just came on board, and he's running and working hard as well. Let me congratulate the new DOTD secretary. I met his undersecretary, Barbara, in the hallway out there, who lives close to Baker. Thank you all for this meeting, and thank you for letting me speak. Let me say that the question I get the most comments about is certainly Levy Lane that the state is going to give to the city. And let me commend the state for what you're doing on that. But I still get a lot of calls about some of the little exits into the streets off of Levy Lane. You're doing an outstanding job. Just one or two that I will share with Josh and the construction company that we still need to look at. The biggest thing that I get a call about is this Highway 19 and the turning lane into Greenwood Park. They have enhanced, that's the Breck Park there, they have enhanced Breck Park, but going south on 19, we cannot make a left turn. And Josh tells me that you're going to do some turning lane. Please put turning lane on speed dial for Highway 19. And I don't know where that is. Josh told me that that's in the process, but so many of my constituents are turning, they forget the no turning lane into Greenwood Park, which is a major entity near the city of Baker, and they forget it, and I don't want them to get hit or killed. It's the same way going north. You cannot make a left turn onto Rafe Meyer Road. So I hope that those turning lanes are put on speed dial. Lastly, at the red light at 19 and Thomas Road, when you're coming north on 19, it looks as if those that are coming north do not know that the ones going south, they still will turn going west on Thomas Road. So if you could look at how you could synchronize those lights a little bit better, that may not create a problem that I'm afraid might occur. The light at Thomas and 19, when you're turning off of 19 onto Thomas Road, going west, if we can look at that as well. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and I see my colleague here has 2 pages he's going to question you about.
Thank you, Mr.
So that's
Vincent.
my question. Thank
And
you.
I saw Andrew Kilshaw taking notes, and I'm sure he'll give that to Josh to address
Okay.
those issues. So,
Very good. Thank you so much.
all right, President Dufresne.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Good morning, everyone, and thank you again for allowing me to be here today. And as you mentioned, I am Pete Dufresne. I'm the president in St. James Parish. And I want to first thank District 61 staff that we work very closely with, Mr. Josh Stutz and Mr. Aaron Ellis. So I guess from testimony from my 2 colleagues here, they do a fantastic job, and I want to grant bigger kudos if it equates to more funding. So thank y'all again for everything that y'all do. But no, we have developed a close working relationship with DOTD and its leaders over the years, and we just want to thank them profusely, especially for their responsiveness to St. James Parish. Additionally, we look forward to working with Secretary Glenda Day as we progress projects forward for St. James Parish. Our residents are excited to see projects being completed in our parish, such as the LA 3125 overlay and the Highway 20 widening project. US 61 overlay is in the beginning stages, and we ask that the contractor work diligently to minimize delays and bring this long-awaited project to completion as soon as possible. I want to thank this committee, DOTD, Senators Ed Price and Representative Ken Brass for their continued support for these critical projects in our parish. We continue to advocate for the remainder of the projects needed to allow our parish to continue to provide vital contributions to state in terms of economic and industrial benefits, while also ensuring our roads are safe and well-equipped to facilitate the needs of both our residents and the heavy industrial freight traffic in St. James Parish. Louisiana Highway 642 from LA 44 to 3125. This is the fourth year that I have personally brought the need for addressing this roadway to this committee. This state highway lies within a residential area, but is heavily used by freight traffic to and from the plants along the River Road. The roadway has deep wheel path running and very steep side slopes, which are a major safety concern. I again ask that this committee expedite a reconstruction and a side drain project along this corridor, especially near the CN Railroad. This corridor is only 1.3 miles. The fiscal year 26-27 program includes a clearing and grubbing project for H016397, which is the roundabout at LA 3125 and 3274. However, we do not see the actual letting of the construction project on the list, as it is shown as waiting on funding. The utilities are currently being relocated by the town of Gramercy. How could this project be still waiting on funding? This project has been under design by the DOTD since 2020, and in just a couple weeks, we're going to be in 2026. The overlay of Highway 3127 from LA 70 to the St. James Canal Bridge, which is H016223, was previously scheduled for fiscal year 25-26. However, we see the fiscal year 26-27 program has this project as still in development, and it is not scheduled for letting. This roadway is our critical route servicing all the industrial facilities on the West Bank, along with over $15 billion worth of announced new projects in St. James and our neighboring parishes such as Ascension, like Ms. Phillips here just mentioned. It simply cannot wait until 2027 or 2028 to be overlaid. In fact, this project doesn't even complete the overlay of our route in parish and leaves nearly 10 miles of LA 3127 untouched. Our parish's project to widen LA 3127 has included nearly 5 miles of this roadway. The overlay of 3127 in St. John Parish is currently underway, yet we cannot wait 3 or 4 more years for the portion of St. James to be completed. We ask that the remainder of 3127 overlays be expedited and brought to construction as soon as possible, but certainly sooner than 2027-2028. Louisiana Highway 641 from LA 3125 to LA 3089 is a major artery into the towns of Lutcher and Gramercy and continues to have pavement failures. These are requesting a pavement preservation project to be considered on this route sooner than later. And lastly, we see that there is a bridge repair project, which is H015603 for the LA 641 bridge over I-10, as well as a lighting project, H015021. That is planned for this interchange. I can't tell you how many calls our fire department receives to rescue motorists at this interchange, as they frequently cross over the bridge and miss the stop sign and drive straight into the swamp. This constantly strains our volunteer fire department's resources and is a very dark and unsafe condition. The lighting project has been programmed for quite some time now and without any movement. So we would like to see the lighting project go to construction and include some additional low-cost safety improvements such as rumble strips, signing, etc., something of that sort, to alert the motorists that there is a stop sign and conditions along the other side of the bridge. So again, I want to thank the committee. I want to thank DOTD and especially our legislators for all your continued support to St. James Parish. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my report to the committee. God bless each one of you and your families, and God bless St. James Parish, and y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I'm sure you have these issues discussed with the district director.
Yes, sir. We have been in communications with them, yes.
Now, 3127, does that go from Booty to Donaldsonville?
Yes, sir.
All right.
And the extension, I think Ms. Phillips just announced they let it through the end of 3127 in Ascension Parish, which reconnects on Highway 1.
Is work going on with the overlay on that?
Not on 3127 in St. James. There's no overlay currently happening that I'm aware of.
Yeah. And I've taken that road before for evacuations because I'm on the West Bank. I get on Booty and you bypass all the interstates, so it's an important road.
Yeah.
What about that landfill that's on that highway? There's a lot of trash.
Right. That's our major. That's our major infrastructure for St. James Parish, where we dispose of all of our solid waste products. Really.
That's in your parish?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there anything that could be done by the operator of that landfill to pick up that trash?
Wait, maybe I'm not. Maybe talking about the same landfill. The one the parish is the operator of that landfill.
Okay.
The one on 3127 is
Yes.
what I'm referring
There's
to.
a lot of litter on that highway also.
Well, we have on the Veterans Memorial Bridge. What I've noticed in the past, we have the waste management company. I think they allow other companies to transfer debris and collections at that site, and the flow of traffic and trucks in and out with garbage in it, with the tarps maybe not completely securing the load, is what I noticed to be a frequent.
Yeah, something needs to be done because it's number one, it's got to be overlaid because it's a bad road, and the litter is kind of
Right, yeah. Well, we introduced a litter abatement team in St. James Parish since I've become the parish president, and our crews are constantly out on side the state highways attempting to capture all this litter and keep our parish clean.
All right, thanks each of you for your work and for coming here today. So we're going to call up 3 other folks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Parish President Chris Daigle, Iberville Parish. Andrew Maxwell, City of St. George. And Scott Kirkpatrick with Crisis. I don't know if we want to hear about that, but. Good morning, Mr. President. State your name.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, Chris Daigle, Iberville Parish President.
Welcome.
Thank y'all for allowing me to speak today. Glad to be here. Hope y'all had a great Thanksgiving. I know Christmas is coming up. Be here before we know it. Number one, I just encourage DOTD to remain proactive in our efforts. As we look at all the infrastructure needs, and I know it's a large backlog, right? So making sure that we prioritize those projects and make sure that we don't get into the position we are today with one prime example being the Mississippi River Bridge, South Bridge, right? The mega project of the region. And what I mean by that is, if this project would have been done, years ago, $600 million. We're looking at it, just a few years ago, looking at the cost of $1.2 billion. And now, moving forward, here we are in 2025, project still hasn't been done. And we've been discussing for 30 years, and here it is, it's going to be, in excess of $2 billion. I do want to go into a little bit of the funding mechanism for that, though. Some of the things that weren't said earlier, that we do have $400 million that is in an account. It's right under $400 million in an account for the Baton Rouge Regional Bridge. But the importance of the $40 million that was taken away last year for a 2-year suspended stint, the $40 million for 3 mega projects across Louisiana. One was for Shreveport, the I-49 intercity connector. One was for Lafayette, the I-49 Lafayette connector, and one was for the Mississippi River Bridge right here, the South Bridge. The fourth project of those mega projects was that $40 million was allocated and bonded out for the purpose of what it was intended, the Lake Charles Bridge, and that project is moving forward. So the $120 million that was suspended for those 2 years of 25 and 26 are to come before you in 27. Number one, I'm here early asking for the support to make sure that we get that $40 million back. But $40 million may not sound like a lot, but when you take the $40 million and you bond it out for the 40, 50 years, which was the original intention, that's a revenue of $600 to $700 million. So you put the $40 million back, we're over $1 billion towards the Baton Rouge Regional Bridge. That's before toll revenue talks and before any federal funding. One thing that we're working on is to make sure that I believe for the first time in many years we have a regional unified effort. And what I mean by that, Iberville's at the table, and we're constantly having meetings with our partners in Ascension, with our partners in East Baton Rouge, West Baton Rouge, Livingston. So we attend every single meeting. We're making sure that we're there and present and being a part of that unified effort in our region to make sure that we have a voice on the federal level. So as we look at those projects, in Iberville in itself, we have a couple widening projects that we're looking at. Highway 30 is a priority, right? All the way from Baton Rouge to I-10 in Ascension. That is a major priority for Iberville Parish, and we fully understand that needs to be widened before a bridge can be completed. Also, Highway 1, the corridor between White Castle and Donaldsonville is the only section there that is still 2-lane. Between that 20-mile corridor that we're talking about from Plaquemine to Donaldsonville, those 20 miles have already had and or will be having additional announcements of over $20 billion. $20 billion in work. So, we have $5 million in this program today to go ahead and restripe and overlay, but why we're going to waste $5 million when we know it needs to be widened? It needs to be 4-lane away from 2 lanes. So that's some of the things that, I'm one that I hate wasting money. So why, let's make sure that if we know it needs to be widened, let's just take that $5 million, put it towards the widening of 4 lanes between Donaldsonville and White Castle. Because, as we talk about the growth in that region, you're talking 8,000 to 10,000 cars a day. New cars a day, 8,000 to 10,000, because of all these projects that are going to be coming. So let's make sure that we make that a priority. As we talk about a few other things in Highway 30 and Bayou Paul Lane, and my mayor of St. Gabriel has brought that item to DOTD. I want to make sure that they have our support because we've been turned down to do a turning lane off of Bayou Paul Lane on the Highway 30. So we're going to make sure that we work with our delegates. And once again, kudos to Secretary Ledet and their staff, Josh as well. I was going to get up here and make a little joke about being the Grinch because everybody's done nothing but kudos to those guys, but they're doing a phenomenal job up there. We even had Secretary Ledet come speak to our Region 3 meeting of our Police Jury Association where we had 8 parishes there represented, and he came in and spoke and took time out of his schedule. But also one thing that's important to me that I think hasn't been addressed, and it's really not in this packet, is our ferry landings. Okay, we have a lot of traffic across our ferry landings, but yet the on and off ramps to those are need in repair. But one thing that I'm encouraging DOTD to look at is the liability concerns. Okay, if you have ever crossed our ferry, every vehicle has to rely on the river road. So they're basically on the river road half on the gravel, half on the grass, half on the highway, and then there's no turning lane. There's no lane for them to get in except on the river road, which I'm bringing to light is a liability issue for DOTD, because the moment somebody gets in a major accident there, they're going to be coming saying that our fair landings have been in use for many years, and we haven't taken any proactive steps to make sure that we mitigate the liability concerns. So I would like some infrastructure or a little investment into our fair landings in Iberville Parish. But other than that, thank y'all. Appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate y'all allowing me to speak, and have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Mr. President. And what I'm hearing, from Ruth and from you and where the area I represent, Plaquemines Parish, there's billions of dollars worth of investment, but there's no money being set aside for transportation capacity improvements. I mean, because that has to be part of the conversation. LED has to be involved in this conversation and come up with some money. If we're going to invest all this billions of dollars into the state, we got to have a way to get to these investments with roads.
Yes, sir, absolutely. DOTD and LED have committed a lot of funds. I don't know the exact amount, but I know that the 3127 expansion is going to be critical to the corridor getting around Donaldsonville rather than going through it. Because if you go through it right now, and you're backed up for miles from the red light right now with today's traffic, and just imagine with the expansions that are coming, as well as all this traffic. And we talk about the Mississippi River Bridge, and let me kind of reiterate that. The fact that the Mississippi River Bridge, the data that has been proven is majority of that traffic that is crossing that bridge at peak times is local traffic. It's not 18-wheelers traveling through Baton Rouge region. So, we need to make sure that our priority is making sure that our locals have another route around the bridge or with this other bridge, and that we're not trying to loop them around North Baton Rouge, because, we take that whole loop from Airline Highway all the way back to the old bridge, not a single hospital there, right? So there's not going to be any increased support for or purposes of getting residents to, health services and things like that, So we need to keep that in mind. This bridge is the priority for the Baton Rouge region. Make sure that we allow an alternate option to cross. And I always talk about the quality of life for our residents in Iberville Parish, one of the only residents that are split by a bridge, by the river, that the quality of life and the obstacles that our sheriff's department has to face, that our school system has to face, that our parish government operations have to face. All these things really put a strain on our efforts. But thank you. I appreciate y'all time.
You ought to see what Plaquemines Parish is going through. But we won't get into that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Andrew Maxwell, City of St.
Andrew Merle with the City of St. George. Chairman, committee members, thank you for hearing us. I know this is your 8th time to hear people come up here and advocate for dollars and projects, but this is the very first time you've ever heard from the City of St. George. And that's a privilege and a pleasure for me to be able here to represent the City of St. George. We woke up April 26, 2024, and became Louisiana's 5th largest city. In geography, in terms of population, we are larger in both than the city of Lake Charles. So the first priority for the City of St. George was to start assessing what we were requiring and what our needs for our citizens and the safety of our community would be. And so we're going to advocate for projects that accomplish all of DOTD's critical goals. So you can go ahead and approve us now. And these goals will not only improve safety and traffic and transportation for the City of St. George, but as a major corridor that gets us from evacuation routes to the northern part of the state, we'll also accomplish safety and transportation needs for the entire region as well. Some of those projects will include, in fact, we're inheriting 500 miles of city roadways. So if Representative Macon were still here, I would tell him that Jamestown is a City of St. George roadway. I'd also reiterate that PICU is going to be under the City of St. George. And PICU at Highland is one of the most dangerous intersections in our parish, with 7 accidents in the last year, including multiple fatalities. And we'll be seeking to address those issues in the future. But I-10 at Highland Road, that is the most dangerous intersection in the City of St. George, and one of the most dangerous intersections in East Baton Rouge Parish. That section of Highland Road has the same traffic count on that very narrow roadway as Airline Highway does. It's a connector between I-10 and Airline Highway. We're asking for improvements to interchange ramps in the old Perkins intersections. Airline Highway in general, in the city limits of the city of St. George, is a major thoroughfare connecting the city of St. George, but also the region. When you talk about terms of safety, these are two areas that in an evacuation or an emergency situation, it is imperative that these roadways function as smoothly and as efficiently as possible. It benefits us on a daily basis with business and commerce and the future growth that we anticipate in the city of St. George, but it benefits the region from a safety standpoint. Highland Road between I-10 and Jefferson Highway, again, same concerns. Anytime we have a connector between two of our major roadways, these are roadways that are vital to the region, but they're also extremely vital to our growth. LA 30 widening couldn't be more of a connector for a region, including Iberville Parish. We feel it's imperative for this project to finally take place, for the improvements that are necessary to this roadway so we can connect all of our region together for a better business future, especially. It's a corridor that's major for transportation and growth. We feel it's vital, and at this time, that roadway is so congested, it takes a traffic guard to let people out of a neighborhood. It's so congested. So these are projects that we will be advocating for as the city of St. George moves forward. We're inheriting 500 miles of roadway, a lot of which hasn't been touched or maintained in quite a long time, that we're addressing on a local city basis, and then we're going to work with DOTD and this committee on improving the infrastructure for St. George in the future. Again, we woke up just a little while ago, and we're a fifth largest city in the state, and it's time for us to start improving our roadways, and the benefit is the region improves as a whole. So thank you. I appreciate your time and look forward to not having any more firsts on this committee. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. Scott Kirkpatrick with Crisis. What is Crisis?
Yeah, Scott Kirkpatrick with Crisis, Capital Region Industry for Sustainable Infrastructure Solutions. So the business community, the major employers in the Capital Region came together about a decade ago because of their frustration with the ability to move around the Capital Region. You probably know and have experienced we are one of the most congested mid-sized cities in America. So that not only impacts our economic development, but is impacting businesses every day and the people trying to get to those businesses. So a decade ago, we started working with the delegation and the administration to try to address those issues. How did we get here? As a reminder, the region repeatedly tried to do major projects and failed. We tried to widen I-10 in the early 2000s, and we abandoned that project. We tried to do a north loop and a south loop in the 2010s, and we abandoned that project. Ultimately, we did not have strong enough coordination between the state, the delegation, and the private sector to get those done. So now we're hoping where we are now that we have enough alignment and enough strength to get the major projects done we need to. We're encouraged that the widening is moving forward. We know there's still challenges there, and we're going to need help from everybody pulling in the same direction to get that major project done. We've heard obviously appreciate President Daigle's leadership on the South Bridge. No doubt that project has been out there for years, is now I think into its fifth or sixth year of permitting. We're very hopeful that that one can get to the finish line. So I really think today just want to emphasize, there's no other region in the state really that has a special group of businesses trying to push for infrastructure solutions, and that's largely because nobody is feeling the pain that Baton Rouge is. We're eager to work with you to get all these projects to the finish line, and we appreciate y'all having this process, which I think provides accountability and accountability to a reorganized DOTD that we're very excited about, because I know one of the things that DOTD is focused on is getting projects done. And so we think Baton Rouge is a great test case for how you can get some major projects done. So we stand ready to work with y'all. We're glad that the South Bridge and the widening are certainly in the plan and moving forward, and also looking forward to ways we can better utilize the Huey P. Long Bridge to the north. So thank you. If we can ever be of assistance to y'all, please let me know.
All right. Has your group taken a position on an increase to the gas tax?
We have supported additional revenue. We pushed for that in 2017, 2018, when that was before the legislature. We pushed and supported the vehicle sales tax when that came through, and certainly we would support more resources are needed. We know that, and so if a gas tax came up, I have a feeling our group would be supportive of that again. So,
all right. Well, the board's clear. Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Secretary, you want to come up and close?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. As you heard, obviously, we have a lot of work that we are looking forward to throughout the state. The comments from both Parish President Chris Daigle as well as Pete Dufresne, we thank them for their collaboration, and really all parish presidents across the state and police jury. We have really jumped in and excited to form these partnerships on both the private and public sector, excited to work with folks like Crisis. We are working hard to transform the department and deliver on this highway priority program. So hopefully you've heard that in our 9 meetings, and we'll continue to work with you from this point through the legislative session to make sure that we can do anything we can to really enhance what we have here in our $1.2 billion investment to deliver even more. And so just excited about this opportunity for the state, working with Governor Landry and his leadership, and what this means for growing the economy of Louisiana. So thank you for your time throughout these 9 meetings, and looking forward to working with you and forming this partnership.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And I want to thank you and your team and your staff for what y'all do, and for really working hard to make, the Department of Transportation more responsive.
Thank you.
And we see that something's happening there, and it's good to see. I want to thank our staff, attorneys, our security team who drove around the state for all these meetings we had, and all the legislators. So with that, we're going to end the roadshow and move on to the session. Rep. Wiley? He moves to adjourn? All right, I'll second that. All right, thank you.
Thank you.